How is it even possible to define the present? A year is made up of 12 months. Every day of each month is made up of 24 hours. Every hour is made up of 60 minutes. Every minute is made up of 60 seconds. And every second is made up of microseconds and nanoseconds. You can keep breaking down the present into smaller and smaller increments. But even in the act of doing so, it's no longer now. It's then. The Buddha intuitively understood the limitations of the ordinary human conception of time. He explained that from a relative point of view, the division of time into distinct periods such as hours, days, weeks might have a certain degree of relevance. But from an absolute perspective, there's really no difference between a single instant of time and an eon. Buddha illustrated this point in the form of a story about a young man who came to a great master in search of a profound teaching. The master agreed to provide the young man with a profound teaching, but suggested that the young man first have a cup of tea. The master said that he would give the profound teaching once the young man had the tea. So the master poured a cup of tea, and as the student brought it to his mouth, the cup of tea transformed itself into a broad lake surrounded by mountains. As the young man stood beside the lake, admiring the beauty of the scene, a girl stepped from behind him and approached the lake to gather water in a pail. For the young man, it was love at first sight, and as the girl looked at the young man standing beside the lake, she fell in love with him, too. The young man followed her back to her home, where she lived with her aged parents. Gradually, the girl's parents grew to be fond of the young man, and he of them. It was eventually agreed that the two young people should marry. After 3 years, the couple's first child was born, a son. A few years later, a daughter was born. The children grew up happy and strong, until one day, at the age of 14, the son fell ill. None of the medicines could cure his illness, and within a year, he was dead. Not long after this, the couple's young daughter went to gather wood in the forest, and while she was busy with her task, she was attacked and killed by a tiger. Unable to overcome her sorrow over losing both her children, the young man's wife eventually decided to drown herself in the nearby lake. Distraught over the loss of their daughter and their grandchildren, the girl's parents stopped eating, eventually starving themselves to death. Having lost his wife, his children, and his parents-in-law, the young man began to think that he might as well die himself. He walked to the edge of the lake, determined to drown himself. Just as he was about to jump into the water, though, he suddenly found himself back in the master's house, holding his cup of tea up to his lips. Though he had lived an entire lifetime, hardly an instant had passed. The cup was still warm in his hands, and the tea was still hot. He looked across the table at the teacher, who nodded, saying, "Now you see. All phenomena proceed from the mind, which is emptiness. They do not truly exist except in the mind, but they are not nothingness. There is your profound teaching." From a Buddhist perspective, the essence of time, like the essence of space and the objects that move around in space, is emptiness. At a certain point, any attempt to examine time or space in terms of smaller and smaller intervals finally breaks down. The mind is empty in essence. Although empty, everything constantly arises in it. Form is emptiness. Emptiness is form. Emptiness is nothing other than form. Form is nothing other than emptiness. Now, some people interpret emptiness as the void or nothingness, mistakenly equating emptiness with the idea that nothing at all exists. Nothing could be further from the truth that Buddha sought to describe. The Buddha said that the nature of the mind was empty-ness, which in the Tibetan language is made up of two words, tongpa ni. The word tongpa means empty. Meanwhile, the word ni, when added to another word, conveys a sense of possibility, a sense that anything can arise, anything can happen. So when Buddhists talk about emptiness, they don't mean nothingness, but rather an unlimited potential for anything to appear, change, or disappear. Experience of emptiness is really like the antithesis of most modern society. Why is it that they say that desire is the root of all suffering? Think about a destination that many people are probably after. Maybe they want a bigger house or a better car or just to buy more things. And the pleasure that comes from finally getting that thing will last but a fleeting moment. So if you're able to enjoy the process, you'll be able to feel whatever it is you've always been chasing after, regardless of whether your external world changes. And that is the beauty of uniting with emptiness. But naturally, we're not that used to doing this. So it's kind of like a muscle that needs to be worked, and it can take some time. And so this is the importance of meditation. You might have a bunch of thoughts arising, coming in the form of all these different physical and emotional sensations. Maybe they come in different shapes and colors and sizes and forms. But despite the fact that all of this is happening, it does not change what the background is. And the purpose of meditation is to unite with this background that all of these things arise in. So you don't have to go ahead and follow each of these lines and draw out all of their pictures, because another line is always probably going to come up. So unite with this clear, pure background that never changes no matter what is within it. Meditation is not about getting rid of all of these lines, all of these thoughts and emotions and physical sensations. You don't have to get rid of these things. This background never goes away. You don't have to worry about all the stuff that comes up over here. It could be the worst thing. You could literally be going through a breakup or some horrendous experience, or you're really scared. But this is still here. All you have to do is watch. You don't have to do anything. Meditation requires no effort. Sipping a glass of water takes more effort than meditation. This is why meditation is so important, because what is the use in getting involved with all of these squiggles? Because each of these squiggles is going to appear and disappear. All of these squiggles are impermanent, but the background is infinite. And over time, the squiggles start to dissipate a little bit. But it's always a battle. There's always going to be new stuff that comes up. But taking the time to meditate unites you with the clear background that inherently exists no matter what. All of these squiggles come up and go away, and then they come back in different forms and different colors, and they always come back. It could be an itch. It could be a thought. It could be some problem going on in your life, but it's just another squiggle. Watch it appear and disappear like a cloud and be the sky. It's kind of like space. There's all these planets and objects and things in your room, but none of these things change the actual space itself. They're all just temporary contents within the space. So in order to unite with space itself, just watch these things come up. There's no need to engage with each thing as it comes up. All it is just watching these things appear and disappear like clouds in the sky. So will you engage with all of the squiggles that come up in your mind today? All of the physical sensations, all of the emotional attachments, all of the thoughts that come into your mind? Or will you watch them come up and then unite with the awareness that is the basis of life itself? All right, anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. I love you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace out.